If the railroads were the arteries of the 19th century United States, then the Great Railroad Strike of 1877 was, for the powers that be, nothing short of a national heart attack. Its impact in today's terms would be like if workers shut down something as essential as the internet, or closed every airline. So how did it happen? To understand what happened in 1877, you have to understand the world that workers were living in. 4 years earlier, the Panic of 1873 had plunged the country into a brutal depression, the first major economic crash of the new industrial age. Millions were pushed into unstable, dangerous factory work, or forced to roam from town to town, looking for a job that might last a week. At the center of all this was the railroads, the backbone of industrialization, the lifeline of commerce, and the government-subsidized playgrounds of the robber barons. Men like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Morgan, who were united in waging war on the working class with private armies, state militias, and racist divide-and-conquer tactics, all to keep wages as low as possible. After the Panic of 1873, railroad workers saw their wages cut time and again, amounting to more than 60% cumulatively in just a few years. By the summer of 1877, workers had reached a breaking point. By this time, the working class was a powder keg, and the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad lit the fuse. After the company announced yet another 10% wage cut, the second that year, workers in Martinsburg, West Virginia decided enough was enough. They walked off the job, seized the rail yard, and blocked the tracks. The local militia, ordered to the scene by the governor, refused to fire on the workers. The Great Rail Rebellion was underway. Soon, the uprising spread from coast to coast. The country had never seen anything like it. The first national industrial strike in U.S. history. In city after city, crowds defended strikers from police and National Guard. Miners blocked tracks. Workers battled strikebreakers. Rail yards became contested territory. Suddenly, the robber barons and the ruling class didn't seem so all-powerful. Pittsburgh witnessed one of the defining moments of the rebellion. State militia, acting on behalf of the Pennsylvania Railroad Company, opened fire on a crowd and killed more than 20 people. The city exploded. Rail yards were torched. Miles of tracks, engines, and warehouses went up in flames. But if Pittsburgh made the ruling class nervous, it was developments in St. Louis that had the rich and powerful clutching their pearls in mortal terror. Railroad workers in St. Louis organized delegations to go out and spread the strike beyond the railroads. Guided by the Knights of Labor and the Working Men's Party, workers seized ferries, depots, factories, and other work sites. At a time when the forces of reaction and white supremacy were trying to smother the last promises of Reconstruction, here, black and white workers united, demanding, among other things, the 8-hour day and the end of child labor. Make no mistake, it was a general strike. For the bosses, St. Louis was a nightmare come to life, a revolution that would sweep them from power. They thought the Paris Commune had come to the United States. In the end, the Great Railroad Rebellion and the St. Louis General Strike, like the Paris Commune, were brutally crushed. But, just like the Paris Commune, these eruptions of working-class militancy and organization showed that workers don't have to accept things as they are, and that a better world is possible if workers are willing to fight for it. And workers have shown, time and again, that they are willing to fight for it. Less than 10 years after the Great Railroad Strike came the massive strikes of 1886, and then more in 87. It was in the spirit of 77 that Eugene Debs led the Pullman strike of 1894, and the list goes on. Today, workers are faced by our own robber barons, dead set on dragging us back to the Gilded Age, and willing to use any violence and cruelty to do it. They'll fuel their greed by stealing everything they can take from us. Our wages, our health care, even the food out of our children's mouths. But the Great Railroad Strike lives on in us. Whether it's Jay Gould or Elon Musk, the Pinkertons or ICE, working people know our enemies, and we know when enough is enough.